And we're back with Bedtime Stories, Grown-Up Edition, Concrete Jungle, Part 12. Now, when we left off, Q and Veronica were having dinner with the family. Miss Bella had just read Veronica like a book. In the driveway, Q's brother Donovan was texting and sipping a beer while talking shop with his father Anders, who was also drinking a beer and smoking a Cuban. When Q approached them, his father looked and said, "Well, son, she's sure easy on the eyes." Now, their entire conversation was held in patois, but I'll spare you. Donovan said, "Ain't she? Come on now, bro. You gots to be taking Shorty down." Q replied, "Is that all you think about, bro?" Donovan replied, "With a package like that, I'd have to peel the wrapper back." Q said, "Yeah, the wrapper looks good, but that's not all that's required to keep my attention." Donovan said, "Well, it must be serious, you bringing her by to meet the Queen Mother." Q said, "No, the Queen Mother insisted. She gave a direct order, and now here we are." Donovan and Anders laughed, and Anders said, "She looks more like your brother's type to me." Q looked over at Donovan, who was in his phone texting, and said, "Well, I really haven't known her long enough to know if she's my type or not, Pops. When we met, I just followed my instincts. Now, I'm not quite sure what her purpose is." Donovan looked up from his phone and said, "Man, you either gonna smash, pass, or wife her. Pick one." Q and Anders looked at each other and just shook their heads. Then Anders said, "Son, sometimes in life, God sends people along your path so that he can use you to help them. You should know by now, it's not always about what you can get from them." Donovan said, "Yeah, I know. But it's starting to seem like God sends all the women who need help to Q, and he sends the ones who need something else to me." Q said, "Well, that remains to be seen. But from the looks of things, I might not be able to help her with what she needs help with. I'm not the dude you run to when you're trying to get over an ex." Donovan said, "Why not? The best way to get over one somebody is to get up under or on top of another." And then he laughed. Q said, "As appealing as that might sound, I am nobody's rebound." Anders said, "Well, son, have you considered that neither is she? Speaking of which, have you had a conversation with your mother since Friday?" Q said, "No. Is there something I need to know?" Anders leaned in and said, "Well, she," and before he could finish his sentence, Miss Bella came walking down the driveway. As she approached, she said, "Son, I told you, you can put lipstick on a pig." And Donovan finished the statement by saying, "But it'll still roll around in its own crap." Anders said, "Oh, you do listen." Donovan said, "Yep, that's why I don't eat pork. Plus, I got my own crap to roll around in." They all just laughed and shook their heads, and Miss Bella quietly leaned over and told Q, "We need to talk." The group all started walking away, and Donovan started texting again. Q said, "Okay, my dear, I'll come back after I drop her off after dinner." Donovan sent a final text and slid his phone in his pocket, and we got the screenshots. When they got into the house, they found Anya and Veronica placing the last of the prepared dishes on the dining room table, and Veronica scowling while looking down at her cell phone. Everyone took their usual seats around the huge mahogany rectangle table, with Anders at the head, Miss Bella directly across from him, Donovan between the two of them with an empty seat on his left and his right, and Q across from him with Anya on his left and Veronica on his right. Donovan looked at Anya and said and signed, "Come over here and sit next to me. I look all lonely." Anya rolled her eyes and changed seats to oblige her older brother. Anders blessed the food, and Miss Bella explained that she created both Trinidadian and American dishes to ensure that Veronica would have options. She made Trinidadian rice and peas, callaloo greens, macaroni pie, stewed chicken, crab and dumplings, some fried cabbage, and she had Anders smoke some beef ribs in his pit in the backyard. To ensure that Anya was included in the conversation, each family member made sure to sign while speaking audibly, and Q was the interpreter for Veronica. As they served up the food, Donovan said, "Ooh, Ma, can I take the leftovers home?" "Oh, I guess I'm being rude. I should probably see if I guess knows how to cook or if she needs to take them home." Anya giggled, and Veronica said, "Don't change your routine on my account." Donovan said while laughing, "Ah, I like how you avoid answering questions." As everyone's bellies began to get full, the dinner conversation began to pick up. When Anders asked Veronica what she did for a living, and she began to explain that she was not only a real estate agent, but she also had a side business doing interior decorating and design, and she just added virtual styling to her repertoire, Anya signed, and Q interpreted, saying, "She said I should let you interior design my house." But then he quickly said, "Or you can work with Donovan. He's a general contractor. He's always looking for somebody to do design work. Donovan, what you working on right now?" Donovan and Veronica both sat there for a second, kind of looking like deers caught in headlights, and then Donovan said, "I see you know how to deflect too, huh, bro? We all know you plan to leave that house darn near empty until God sends you a wife," he said sarcastically with a little enmity in his voice. "I'm actually finalizing plans to start building a recreation center in Grapevine. And as a matter of fact, Veronica, the city of Grapevine is looking for an interior designer. So if you decide to submit a bid for that project, let me know. I'll give you a recommendation. That is, if you're any good." Veronica said thanks, while thinking a million thoughts in her mind, one of which included, this man gonna let $1 million house sit darn near vacant until God sends him a wife? And this fool know darn well I'm good. That's how I met him. He seen my work. He played way too much. Q then asked Miss Bella, "So, my dear, how's things going at Bedtime?" Miss Bella said, "Oh, son, things are going exceptionally well. So well, in fact, that your father and I are thinking about buying the adjacent property and extending the spa. I think I'll make one side exclusive for men, catering to their needs. We'll give it a completely different ambiance, hire new staff," and before she could finish, Anya started frantically signing to her mother. "Mom, tell them about the meeting." Miss Bella said, "Well, we had a meeting with a black-owned skin and hair care brand. They wanted us to feature their spa line in spa and to carry their complimentary daily use products on our shelves. With these kinds of deals, I started having Anya lead those meetings without me, just to see how they handle them, you know? After all, she is the business manager, and she's the one who's going to inherit the spa when I decide to retire. So if they can't do square business with my deaf daughter who's running the show and treat her with the same dignity and respect that they would treat me, they don't deserve to do business with Bedtime." Anya jumped in, impatiently signing while Bella was still speaking, and Q interpreted as follows. "I was so surprised when the owner of the brand came in for the meeting herself, and she brought her business attorney. And you'll never believe it, she signs. Usually I have to have Tessa and Madeir or a paid interpreter. But I was able to hold the meeting and just have Tessa there to interpret for her attorney. We had a wonderful meeting, and she told me all about her beautiful daughter, who's the reason why she learned to sign. But the deal is done, and the paperwork should be in our emails on Monday morning. We're even going to do an ad campaign." Q signed and said, overjoyed for his baby sister. "Anya, that's absolutely wonderful. I told you, it's your time to shine. There is no reason for a woman as intelligent and educated as you are to ever have to exist in the shadows. You deserve to be in the forefront. The fact that you communicate via ASL should not be a deterrent for you running a successful business. You have the ability to do all of the same things that any other business manager would do. You have an MBA. I absolutely love seeing that beautiful smile on your face and the joy that's radiating from your eyes." Anya absolutely glowed under Q's praise, and Veronica was in awe. She'd never seen a man be as attentive and genuine with his praise as Q was. Then Q asked casually, "What brand is the deal with?" And before Miss Bella could stop her, Anya signed, "Bright You. There isn't a sign for Vibrant." Q looked somewhat confused, Miss Bella looked at her husband. Anders imperceptibly nodded. Miss Bella looked back at Q and said, vibrantly, you. Q just stared. Miss Bella looked away, and Donovan was sufficiently entertained, baby. Anders just kept eating his food. Anya looked slightly confused, and she signed to her brother. What's wrong? Are you okay? Veronica looked around waiting for somebody to interpret that, but Mum was the word. Q could barely get a word out of his mouth. He couldn't even put food in his mouth as an excuse. Finally, he excused himself from the table and went into the restroom and started texting LJ. And we've got the screenshots. LJ called Q back to back, getting no answer, so he texted. When Q returned to the table, everyone was enjoying dessert, which included Trini coconut fudge and custard pie. Donovan was serving the ladies wine, and Anders was entertaining the table with stories about his early days with Miss Bella. Q reclaimed his seat. Veronica asked if he was okay, and he let her know, we'll talk later. After dessert and wine, Q volunteered to help his mother clean up. Surprisingly, Veronica offered to help. Miss Bella took Donovan to the side and said, whatever's going on, you need to be the one to tell your brother. Donovan said, nah, Ma. In order for them to even have a chance, she's going to have to be the one to do it. Anya asked her dad, Dad, what did I miss? Anders explained to Anya, the woman you met with on Friday, the one who owns the business, that was Angela. Anya signed back, I know. Anders said, Angie. Anya said, while loading the dishwasher with Q, Veronica said, I need to know what that whole situation was about with the spa, but there's also something that you, I, and your brother need to discuss. Q said, let me guess, the two of you used to date. Veronica said, yes and no, but I think it's important that all three of us have the conversation so that we get everything out in the open at one time. Q said, that's not necessary. Just tell me, did you have sex with my brother?